Hi, I thought my life was over at 60, and boy, could I not be any more wrong. I felt at 60 that my best years were behind me, that everything was great, and it was just like everything was going to move forward, easy peasy, just kind of settling into the rest of my life. And truthfully, I could not be more wrong. I look back now, and this is 10 years ago that I was 60, and at some point, I made a decision, and that decision was to look at my life, to actually look at my life without the rose-colored glasses that I took off and start seeing things. And, I'm the type of person that can overlook a lot because if I look at it, then I have to feel it. And then if I feel it, I have to do something about it. And that's not necessarily what I was taught when I was growing up. But the one thing that I started doing is I started looking at what was going on in my life and what was going on within myself. And that one thing just opened a door, and I didn't even realize it at the time. And so from a context perspective, at the time I was married, happily married, not passionately married, not realizing that like I didn't know what was outside of that, but I knew something was missing. And then when I took the rose-colored glasses off, I could see that there was some non-integrity going on, that there are things that I had overlooked. And again, I'm not saying that, I'm the angel and my partner was just this horrible man, because he wasn't at all. But what made him happy didn't make me happy, and it was affecting our marriage, actually. And so for me, of looking at things and then feeling them allowed me to make some decisions. And over the course of the first 4 years of my 60s, I decided to leave my marriage, which was not an easy decision, but I knew it was the right one. I did not doubt it at all. It's not like I was like, oh, I wasn't sure. I don't know if I'm going to make it. None of that came up. It was like, this isn't working. There's nowhere to go from here. And we did the best thing that we could do amiably, and we got a divorce and moved on. And in that decision of moving on, I gave myself time to grieve for several years. I didn't date anyone. Couldn't even think of dating one. I cried more than I've ever cried in my entire life for 2 years. And not because I wanted the marriage, because of everything that I thought was real wasn't real, because I wasn't even looking at it right. It was kind of an internal thing of, what's real, what's love, what's passionate, what is all that? What do I want? I think making those decisions to start looking at things, then that ended. And then I got to see the universe as like, well, what else isn't working? And my career wasn't working. I wasn't feeling fully respected in my career. And I was in a large global company. I had a great position, had a great account. And yet, on the day-to-day, I wasn't happy. I was making good money. That wasn't the issue. Living in the Bay Area, things were working until I started really looking at that. So I thought, well, I'll change companies. So I changed companies, and it was the same thing. It wasn't about the company. It was about what's making my heart sing, what's going to make me happy. And it wasn't working for large corporations anymore. Not that there's anything wrong with large corporations. It supported my life prior, actually, and is supporting me into, my semi-retirement here, to be perfectly honest, which is, I'm very, very fortunate. So then I started making decisions on that, and then it was, why am I living in the Bay Area? I've either lived in San Diego or the Bay Area, San Diego or the Bay Area, and I decided to move back to San Diego. And it's not that I don't like the Bay Area, but I'm a beach person. I love to be by the water. I love taking walks on the beach. I love to be in the water, at the beach, all of that. And again, it was one of those things of, what am I seeing here? What isn't working? Why am I going to look for something that makes my heart sing in the Bay Area, when the truth is I've wanted to be back in San Diego for the 10 years that I left the last time. Moved to San Diego. But I think the thing that I want to say is, it really starts with you. It really started with me, of looking at my life honestly, and then feeling that and feeling the impact of, I remember thinking when I was married, would I be happy if I did this for another 10 years? When you're 16, you got a lot of years in back of you, but not as many in front. Is this going to make me happy? Is this what it's really all about? Is all it is? And the truth is, it wasn't. And that's what I had to look at. And then I had to make the hard decisions. I did the same thing with my career. And I found myself in San Diego thinking, well, great, now that I'm here, I'll get back into management. And yet the interviews that I was in, again, I was flat. And I am not a flat person. I'm actually very passionate when I'm doing something that I like. And I remember going through these interviews and I felt like I was robotic. I felt like I might as well have been AI, just repeating answers and using my past business acumen to sound bright. But I could tell that I wasn't passionate. So I kind of stepped away from that and got a couple of part-time jobs. One of them was at Pets, and one of them was in a wonderful winery serving wine. And I tell people it's probably a blessing that I'm not working there anymore because I'd probably be drinking way too much wine. But I ended up really gravitating towards the pets, and which is what I do now. I have clients and I take care of them and their pets. I'm really there to take care of their pets, but you end up forming these wonderful relationships, which is what I loved about business. And so much has changed in my life because I think in the process of this 10 years and making some of those decisions and clearing away stuff that just actually wasn't serving me, I know this is going to sound so corny, I kind of fell in love with myself. Like, I want to do what's good for Gail, and I want to be a better person. And that led me to really look at where I went off in my marriage, where I started building the walls, or why was I building walls? And again, and I've always said this, it takes two to have a marriage. It's never one person. I don't care. I stayed too long. Again, that's my issue. But just to really look at, what do I want and what does make me happy? And really starting to do things in my life here in San Diego that do make me happy. And I do take walks on the beach, and I do lay in the sun. I wear sunblock. I do visit my dear friends. I just enjoy the spaciousness of where I live. And in the process of that, I gave myself some time to look at how tight and how much control I had in my life and wanted in my life to feel safe. But the truth is, I needed to make myself feel safe. I needed to make myself feel emotionally safe by choosing people in my life that were safe, that were trustworthy. And I'm talking people today, friends, all of that, whether it's the community that I've met at the gym, all of it, it's all wonderful. But there was something about realizing that I needed to make myself feel safe and loved, and I needed to surround myself with people in situations to do that. And I would not have done that if I had not clearly looked at, what do I want? How do I not go around trying to control everything, which certainly what I did with my marriage, I got to own that. And I probably did it in my career, in the positions that I was in. But the thing with my career is I was always a people person, and I just loved the people that I worked with, which I just still do now with my clients and my pets. It's all of it. But it's making that decision, and I say this, I'm not the only person going through this. Somebody asked me always, why are you doing this? Because I feel like it needs to be shared. In your 60s, again, I thought my life was over. And again, it's not. In many ways, I have never been happier. Is my life settled fully? Absolutely not. It's not. Financially, I still got a bit of ways to go. But if I look at being in San Diego, and again, I don't know what it is for you, but this was it for me. And being in tune to myself, in the process of that, I actually met a wonderful man. And this wasn't on Match.com, which I was on just kind of playing out there, seeing what's going on. I met someone, and I've mentioned this through an introduction, business introduction, whatever. And I'm in the midst of a wonderful relationship, and I feel so grateful for it. And I feel grateful that I want to show up the best. I want to be the best person I can be in this relationship. And I catch myself all the time, I'm really good with sarcasm, but I also know with me, I use sarcasm to hide my feelings, and because I don't want to be vulnerable. So because I've done all these little changes, I actually attracted in someone that's trustworthy, that's warm, that's emotional. and my nervous system is calmed down, and I am making myself feel safe by the person that I'm in a relationship with. And then the trigger of that is I want to be the best I can be. So I'm not holding back, not expressing myself. I'm not holding back on things that if I don't talk about them, they're going to itch at me and they're going to come out in another way. Like, this is new for me. And I know this is new for a lot of people, and it is not easy. It's about being vulnerable. But because I've created an environment where I know that I'm here to protect myself, and part of that is who's in my life and how I'm interacting, I can be on this journey. And, you know, again, this content isn't about me being in my relationship. And part of it is because I'm taking you on this journey. You know, my boyfriend's going to be, we've lived in 2 states. Isn't that crazy? You know, you meet somebody that lives half of the year in Mexico and half of the year in Nevada. It's crazy, huh? Anyway, we're going to be living in San Diego, which is wonderful, and he'll still be traveling to Mexico, which is awesome. But it's like the next journey is, you know, how do I keep going and being happier? How do I keep reinventing myself so I am the best partner and I can support him and he can support me? Like, this is the whole next journey, and it's kind of crazy. So if there's anything that I'm talking here about that is speaking to you, please follow me, please subscribe, please share. I will be taking you on this journey because it is never too late to reinvent yourself. And it takes courage, it takes action. It's, you know, fear is going to stop, whatever. You just got to walk through it. Fear is going to be there either way. Anyway, I hope you'll continue to work with me here, and I hope to see you again in my next video.